As one alleged ransom deadline has already passed and another is fast approaching. ABC's chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky leads us off tonight from Tucson.
Savannah Guthrie, the woman who wakes up America every morning with a smile that could light up Times Square, has spent over a decade as the co-anchor of NBC's Today Show, earning $8 million per year and the trust of millions. At 53, she appears to have it all: the career, the family, the respect of an entire nation. But what the cameras don't show during those early morning broadcasts from Studio One in Rockefeller Center is the journey that brought her there, a journey marked not by privilege and easy breaks, but by relentless rejection, devastating personal loss, and a courage that would be tested in ways most people never face. This is the story of a girl from Arizona who lost her father's presence before she could understand what it meant, who spent years being told she wasn't good enough, who faced rejection after rejection in a business designed to break you, who nearly lost her eyesight doing the job she loved, who became a mother when many said it was too late. Behind that professional smile lies a story not glamorous, but brutal. If Savannah Guthrie has ever made you feel informed, inspired, or simply less alone during your morning coffee, hit like as tribute to her resilience. This is the story of a woman who refused to let circumstance, tragedy, or a male-dominated industry tell her who she could become. This is Legends Untold, December 27th, 1971. Melbourne, Australia. A baby girl entered the world, but the celebration was complicated. Savannah Clark Guthrie was born to Nancy and Charles Guthrie, an American father working abroad. The beginning was not glamorous, but fractured from the start. When Savannah was just 2 years old, her parents divorced. Her father returned to Tucson, Arizona. Her mother stayed behind, eventually remarrying. And Savannah, this tiny girl with bright eyes and endless questions, found herself caught between two worlds, two countries, two versions of what family could mean. By the time she was 4, her mother brought her back to America, settling in Tucson. But her father was already gone, living a separate life. The man who should have been at every birthday, every school play, every milestone, he existed only in sporadic visits and phone calls that never came often enough. Savannah learned early what absence felt like. Not the dramatic kind you see in movies, but the quiet, persistent ache of wondering why you weren't enough to make someone stay close. She threw herself into school, into achievement, into becoming someone who could never be overlooked or forgotten. At Amphitheater High School in Tucson, she was everywhere: student government, debate team, school newspaper. If there was a way to matter, to be seen, Savannah found it. But inside, there was a hole shaped like a father who had chosen distance over presence. She graduated in 1989, already driven by something the other kids didn't quite understand. Not ambition for ambition's sake, but a desperate need to prove that she mattered, that she was worth choosing. She enrolled at University of Arizona, studying journalism. Then came Georgetown University Law School, where she earned her Juris Doctor in 1999. She was building armor, credentials, proof of worth that no one could dispute. But what Savannah didn't know yet was that all the degrees in the world couldn't protect her from the heartbreak that was coming. 2000. Savannah Guthrie, 28, newly minted lawyer, stood at a crossroads. She could take the safe path, corporate law, 6 figures, respectability, or she could chase the dream she'd harbored since those high school newspaper days, the dream of telling stories that mattered, of being the voice people turned to when the world got confusing. She chose the dream, and the dream nearly destroyed her. Her first job was at ABC affiliate KMIZ in Columbia, Missouri. Making approximately $22,000 per year, she reported on city council meetings and car accidents. She worked overnight shifts. She sent out hundreds of resume tapes to bigger markets. Nothing. Then came KVOA in Tucson in 2000, closer to home, but still local news, still the grind. By 2004, she finally broke into national news as a correspondent for Court TV, later renamed TRUTV. She covered the Michael Jackson trial in 2005, camping out in Santa Maria, California, reporting on every courtroom detail for months. The world saw a confident correspondent, The truth was different. Savannah was 33 and watching peers half as qualified get the opportunities she'd been chasing for years. She was watching men with less experience and fewer credentials ascend effortlessly, while she fought for every single minute of airtime. It is heartbreaking when you do everything right and still get told it's not enough. But Savannah didn't quit. In 2007, at 35, she finally got her break. NBC News hired her as a legal analyst and correspondent. She appeared on Today, NBC Nightly News, and MSNBC. She covered the Supreme Court. She used that law degree everyone said she'd wasted. By 2011, she became co-host of Today on weekdays, initially filling in for Curry. Then in June 2012, she was named permanent co-anchor alongside Matt Lauer. Savannah Guthrie, 40, had finally made it. She was earning approximately $2 million per year, with her salary eventually climbing to $8 million annually. She was waking up America. She was sitting across from presidents and movie stars and everyday heroes. But just when everything seemed perfect, tragedy struck in the most unexpected way. November 21st, 2019. Rockefeller Center, New York City. It was supposed to be a fun segment. Light, easy. Savannah, 47, was playing with her then 5-year-old son Charlie's toy train during a live broadcast. A sweet moment, the kind that makes morning TV feel warm and relatable. Then suddenly, everything changed. The train flew up. A piece struck Savannah directly in her left eye. On live television, millions watched her recoil. The smile vanished. The pain was immediate and excruciating. "I'm gonna go get an ice pack," she said calmly, professional to her core even as her vision blurred. What the audience didn't see was the panic backstage, the rushed trip to Bellevue Hospital, the doctors examining her eye, looking for the damage that could end not just her career, but her ability to see her children's faces clearly. The diagnosis: a torn retina. She needed emergency surgery. Immediately. Savannah underwent the procedure, then faced a recovery that required lying still, face down, for days. For someone whose entire life was built on motion, on being present, on showing up, the forced stillness was its own kind of torture. She missed work for the first time in years. She wore an eye patch. She wondered if she'd ever see clearly again, if the lights of Studio 1A would be too bright, if she'd be able to read the teleprompter, if this freak accident had stolen the career she'd spent 2 decades building. Behind the professionalism lies a truth most people never consider. Every day, she sits under blazing lights, staring directly into cameras. Her damaged eye a constant reminder of how quickly everything can be taken away. She returned to Today wearing an eye patch, making jokes, staying strong. But what few people know is that Savannah still deals with the effects of that injury, still sees specialists, still wonders during every broadcast if the damage will worsen. Yet she shows up every single morning, 4:30 a.m., hair and makeup, smile ready, because that's who she is. But the eye injury wasn't the only battle Savannah fought in her 40s. Long before that November morning, she'd faced a different kind of loss, the kind that happens quietly, privately, in doctors' offices and phone calls that no amount of professional success can soften. Savannah didn't marry until March 15, 2014. She was 42 years old when she wed Mike Feldman, a Democratic political consultant and founding partner of the Glover Park Group. By the standards of her industry, by the biological clock everyone told her was ticking, she was late. Her first pregnancy came quickly. Daughter Vale, born August 13, 2014. Savannah was 42, broadcasting until days before delivery, terrified and thrilled in equal measure. Then came Charlie, born December 8, 2016. Savannah was 44 and 45 when she carried and delivered him. The world saw the happy announcements, the adorable photos, the morning show segments about motherhood. They didn't see the miscarriages that came before, the consultations with fertility specialists, the nights Savannah cried wondering if she'd waited too long, sacrificed too much for a career that might leave her childless. And they didn't see the complicated grief around her father. Charles Guthrie never became the present father Savannah needed. The distance that began when she was 2 never fully closed. She built a life, a magnificent, successful, meaningful life, and part of her was always that little girl in Tucson, wondering why her dad chose to be somewhere else when she became a mother herself. That pain took on new dimensions. How could anyone choose to miss this? To miss bedtimes and first steps and the weight of a child who thinks you hung the moon. Savannah has spoken carefully, diplomatically, about her father. She's forgiven. She's made peace. But forgiveness doesn't erase the decades of absence. It doesn't give back the father-daughter dances that never happened. The advice she sought from others because he wasn't there to give it. It is heartbreaking when you spend your whole life proving you're worthy of being chosen, only to realize some people will never choose you no matter what you achieve. Then came November 29, 2017. Matt Lauer, Savannah's co-anchor and partner of 5 years, was fired from NBC following allegations of sexual misconduct. Savannah, 45, went on air that morning and did the impossible. She delivered the news that her colleague and friend had been terminated for behavior she described as horrifying and heartbreaking. The cameras captured her grief, her shock, her professionalism. What they didn't capture was the betrayal she felt, the questions that haunted her. How did she not know? How did she sit next to him every morning and miss the signs? What did this say about her judgment, her awareness? Savannah had to continue hosting Today through one of the most turbulent periods in its 70-year history. She had to rebuild trust with viewers, navigate interviews with victims of sexual misconduct, process her own complicated feelings about a colleague she thought she knew. And she had to do it all while pregnant with Charlie, while battling exhaustion and morning sickness and the weight of representing a show that was suddenly synonymous with scandal. She never faltered publicly, but behind closed doors, friends say Savannah questioned everything. Her place, her role, whether the career she'd sacrificed so much for was worth the cost. She stayed. She rebuilt. She anchored Today through its recovery, its renewal, its return to the #1 morning show spot. Not because it was easy, but because quitting wasn't in her DNA. At 53, Savannah Guthrie still sets her alarm for 3:45 a.m. on weekdays. She still leaves her home in Tribeca, New York, while her children sleep, still arrives at 30 Rockefeller Plaza in darkness, still sits in that anchor chair, eye injury and all, and delivers the news with a grace that makes it look effortless. Her net worth is estimated at $30 million. She owns a beautiful apartment in New York City and a home in upstate New York, where her family retreats on weekends. Her children are 10 and 8, growing up with a mother who models what it means to work with integrity and purpose. She's interviewed presidents, from Barack Obama to Donald Trump to Joe Biden. She's covered Olympic Games in Rio, Pyeongchang, and Tokyo. She's moderated presidential debates and town halls. But what defines Savannah isn't the big moments. It's the small ones. The way she listens to ordinary people with the same attention she gives world leaders. The way she asks follow-up questions that show she's actually heard what was said. The way she balances hard news and human interest without condescension. She's written children's books, Princesses Wear Pants and Princesses, Save the World, teaching young girls the lesson she learned the hard way. You don't need to be rescued. You don't need permission. You don't need to fit someone else's expectations. She still practices law, maintaining her license, because she never wants to forget where she came from or who she had to become to survive. And yes, she still goes to eye doctors, still monitors that injury from 2019, still carries the physical reminder that everything can change in an instant. At 53, Savannah Guthrie stands as proof that success isn't about avoiding tragedy, but about what you do when it finds you anyway. From Melbourne, Australia to Tucson, Arizona to Studio 1A in Rockefeller Center. From a fractured childhood to a $8 million salary. From rejection after rejection to co-anchoring one of the most watched television programs in America. From an absent father to a mother who shows up every single day. Savannah's story isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about the quiet courage of setting an alarm at 3:45 a.m. when you could sleep in, of returning to work with an eye patch, of delivering devastating news about colleagues and presidents and tragedies, while maintaining your humanity. It's about being late to motherhood and loving fiercely anyway, about forgiving fathers who were absent and refusing to repeat their patterns. About building a career in an industry designed to discard women over 40 and thriving at 53. If this story touched your heart, leave a tribute below. Share a moment when Savannah Guthrie's calm, steady presence reminded you that showing up, even when it's hard, even when you're hurting, even when the world expects you to break, is its own kind of heroism.